just let Joy in once we get started. Tonight, John Clifford is going to lead our meeting. Eric is gone, so John is going to lead our meeting. Kelsey, is there anything, I know that I saw that you put some stuff in chat.
Yes,
do you want to say anything before we get started?
That is a link that will take you to this meetings page on the city's website. There you can find the agenda that we're going to follow, and then all the attachments that have all been emailed to you. But if you happen to not have them in front of you, you can access them there.
Would you like me to start?
Yep, let's go ahead and do it.
All right. So welcome everyone to our October Sherwood Parks and Recreation Board meeting. We welcome city staff and our council liaison, who is Russell Griffith, and we have 4 new members, as you can see. So we are delighted to have them with us this evening. What we are going to do, because unfortunately we're not all together physically, some of you may know others, some of you may not, but because we're all Sherwood citizens, what I'd like to do is to start off with our roll call, and I'll start off with myself and then give just a little brief background of myself, my family, or whatever comes to mind. And then I will kind of go down the roll call of the names. And then if you're here, just go ahead and just say a little something about yourself. And then we'll just kind of move on to that. And then from there, we'll go on to the adjustments of the agenda from our September meeting. So again, my name is John Clifford. I am the vice chair of the Sherwood Parks and Rec Board. Eric Neifel is again the chairman. And I myself have been with the board for quite a while. I believe this is my 2nd term. Prior to that, I was a planning commissioner. And so I got a great experience in meetings in that area. And so I've been a Sherwood resident for about 22 years now. So I'm kind of one of the old people here. When I moved, my kids were really young. So I mean, I remember where I was with many of you when we had small kids, whether they were babysat while we were working or playing in the yard and whatnot. So my kids now are out of college. So they're all they all went through the school district here in Sherwood, graduate from University of Oregon, and they're out doing their own thing. That's about it. And myself, my background, I'm a landscape architect, but my real passion is running and cycling. So if I could have a choice of working or being outdoors, I would definitely take the outdoors. So let's move on to Brian Amir.
Yeah, hi everybody. Brian, I joined the board actually the same time that John and Eric did several years ago. So the 3 of us have been on for a number of years. I lived in Sherwood since 2014. Got a 7th grader at SMS who is missing soccer. I see Donovan on. We used to play with soccer with Donovan, and we're missing that this year, but hopefully it'll start up again in the future when all this is passed. So yeah, welcome to the new teammates, new board members here. We're really appreciating everybody signing up. It's a good group, and I'm sure we'll continue to have good discussions going forward. So yeah, thanks everybody for joining.
Oh, I'm sorry. So we're on next to Joy. Did she make it into our meeting?
Yes, Joy is on now.
Great. Okay, Joy.
Hi, I'm Joy. I've been on the board for a couple of years. I think we've moved to Sherwood, I think about just over 4 years ago. I have 2 kids, one of which you can probably hear, 6 and 4. So that's why I got involved in the Parks Board, just to kind of be part of it. I'm an accountant by trade. Yeah, so that's me.
Great. All right. Thank you, Joy. So we'll go on to Steve Munsterman.
Yeah, hello, everybody new. Someday we'll get to meet you in person. That'll be fun. So I'm on my second year, I think, on the Parks Board. I previously served on the city's budget committee for a long time and done a bunch of other volunteer things in life. I'm retired from my career, and that was with a neighboring city. I did public works and parks operations and maintenance type things. And I am probably the one I will say probably without a doubt I've lived in Sherwood the longest, probably since I was about 3 days old, I think, and with a few stints in a few other places. So this is just still interested in parks and Sherwood in general. So that's why I'm here.
Wonderful. Thank you, Steve. So now we're going to move on to our 4 new members. So welcome again. We're going to start with Brian.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brian Carridio, and I moved into Sherwood just a couple of years ago, almost to the day, actually. We closed on our house at the end of September 2 years ago. And I've also got a couple of little kids. My son's 3.5. My daughter's 13 months, almost 14 months now. And we've got our 3rd child on the way due in early March. And I've been kind of running technology projects and software development teams for the past several years. I'm currently on contract with Columbia Sportswear, running a team in their e-commerce department, and I've been there for about a year now, and with no end in sight, thankfully. So, looking forward to being part of this board and to help shape the future of Sherwood for my little ones and for myself.
Great. Thank you, Brian. We'll move on to Donovan Cutsforth.
Hi, good evening. I'm Donovan Cutsforth. I've been a Sherwood resident for 10 years, and my baby daughters are growing up quick, one in high school and one in middle school here in Sherwood, 15 and 12. My wife and I are both elementary school teachers in the area. And like John said, I'm passionate about the outdoors and exercise too. So being a part of the Sherwood Rec board is definitely an interest of mine, making sure that these spaces continue to grow and are a beautiful part of our city.
Great. Thank you, Donovan. We'll move on to Rodney. Is it Leister?
Rodney Lister.
Lister.
Yes. Yes, I'm Rodney Lister. I moved into Sherwood about a year and a half ago. Came from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So first time down in the States living, enjoying it a lot. I've been able to spend a lot of time walking through Sherwood and seeing the stuff, and saw this opportunity. So I thought it would be an interesting way to learn more about Sherwood and help Sherwood grow. I got 2 boys, 14 and 10. And we look forward to many years here in Sherwood.
Great. Thank you very much, Rodney. And our last but not least is Manny Sanchez.
Hi there. Thanks. My name is Manny Sanchez. I've been in Sherwood for a little over 5 years now. I have a 2 and 4-year-old, and we are always walking through Sherwood. You probably see us, me and my wife, in our double bob stroller, just kind of walking around different parks, and we love it. Different trails and things like that. So really excited to get started. Professionally, I'm a customer service manager for, you name it, credit cards, Kaiser Permanente, most recently PGE. So customer service is my focus.
Great. Thank you, Manny. All right. So now that we have everybody introduced to each other, let's move on to the adjustments of the agenda from our September meeting. And most of you, I assume, received that in the email. So any changes, any comments regarding the last month's meeting notes?
So the only adjustment to the agenda that I have is Jason is not going to be joining us tonight. I'm just going to give a very brief update on Cedar Creek Trail, but we can keep it in the same order. It doesn't need to be an adjustment necessarily. I was just going to give you a heads up on that. And then I do have an update from the YMCA, but I can do that under other if that works.
Sure. And I apologize. I was mixing two. I was going adjustments as well as meetings. So I apologize. I may have confused you when I was addressing that. So yeah, the adjustments to the agenda, which is what Kristen just mentioned. So if we're done with that. Apparently, we understand that Jason will not be with us. But so we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. And that's when from our last meeting notes. So again, I apologize for the confusion there. So any comments or any changes to the minutes of September?
Yeah, John, I have a couple of that I found. They looked on bullet point or point number 6. It says that Schmidt presented an update on the Cedar Creek Trail. I think that means that should have been, she presented an update on the master plan.
Okay. All right.
Also on that one, if you go down to, I think it was bullet point 12 on there, it says it was asked if there is any higher acreage in the criteria. That should have been something else. I'm not sure what.
Okay.
It's supposed to be hierarchy, so I'll change that.
Yeah, thank you. That was all I had. That's all I found.
So anybody else? I didn't see those, so I didn't have anything to share to this evening. So I guess if that was the only changes to the meeting notes from September, let's go ahead and have the so we'll have someone move to approve the minutes with the changes as we had mentioned them tonight.
Yeah, I'll move to do that, John.
Great. And who will second that?
Steve, you're muted. Sorry, I think Kelsey muted you because we were getting some feedback.
Okay, so apparently Stephen is seconding the motion.
Yep.
Okay, great. All right, so beyond that, let's move on to the citizen comments.
You take the vote though, John.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I apologize. As you can see, I don't have too much experience because we fortunately, Eric has always been pretty good about attending our meetings. So I kind of fill in sporadically. So sometimes I overlook these things. So again, I apologize. So, all right, thanks. Let's see. So how do we say this again? All in favor of the changes and the approval of the notes of last Wednesday. Aye or nay?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so all ayes, no nays. So that's been changed, confirmed.
Yep.
Okay. All right, great. So then we'll. I'm sorry, what was that? Did I miss something?
I think it was just feedback.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. All right, so let's move on to citizen comments. Now, typically for your new members, when we do, I'm sure you're familiar with the area that we meet, and there's quite a few chairs, and that's where if we had someone, they would physically be in our meeting, and they would introduce themselves and comment on whatever they have in mind regarding the Parks and Rec. So right now, because we're not physically meeting together, we're actually having any citizen do this online. So did we have anybody comment or any?
No, not today.
Okay, so I guess we're clear on that. So we'll move on to the Cedar Creek Trail. Oh, we're going to move that to other, right? Did you?
No, we can still keep it in the same location. I'm just going to let you know what update he gave me to share.
Okay, great. Well, we'll do that. Okay.
Okay, so I did hear from Jason. He had originally planned on coming this evening, but really did not have too much new news. So he said that he'd rather wait and come and present in November when hopefully he has spectacular new news. But really, Jason said that all of the major issues have been resolved that we have encountered recently. So that would include issues with the 100-year floodplain, the Migratory Bird Treaty Act permit, and then also receiving approval for all of the design exception requests. So that's all really good news. We are now looking at doing the bid opening on December 17th. We had originally planned on doing that in November, but it's been pushed to the 17th, but it's not going to impact construction or the state start date. We are still looking to start construction in January of 2021, and this will put us ahead of the bird migrating and nesting period, but not significantly impact the in-stream work window that starts on July 15th. And he says that we are still on target to complete the project next August ahead of Labor Day and the start of school in fall of 2021. That was our goal, that we really wanted to make sure that with it being a new trail and a way for people to hopefully get around Sherwood, that everything was done by Labor Day and by the time school started. Jason is also updating the webpage, and there's a project page on our city website, and you can always go there for new information. And for the new members, one of the things that I meant to mention when we met just before this meeting is Jason has offered to sit down virtually on Teams and do kind of an overview of the trail and go through it and let you know a little bit more about the history of the project and bring you up to speed if that's something that the four of you are interested in doing. So I'll ask him for a few times. Are evenings best for people or late afternoons? I'm going to assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
Evenings
so I'll ask him about a few times, and if that's something that you're able to attend and want to attend, that would be fabulous. But he does always try to put updates on the city website and on the Cedar Creek Trail page. But things are moving along, finally.
Great. All right, Kristen, thank you very much. Anything else that you'd like to share or move on to the next topic?
Not regarding Cedar Creek Trail.
Okay, great. All right, so the next one, we will move on to the Parks Master Plan discussion and feedback. And I believe that the four new members did receive a copy of our preliminary master plan, and you had a chance to at least browse through it. I'm sure there's a lot of information in there that you may not be familiar with, but it definitely is something that we are taking pride in, and hopefully we will be able to have this document as part of our Parks and Board, so we could address that whenever we have new options or new opportunities for building and modifying our current parks.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead. I guess, Kristen, you'll be mentioning something about that?
Yeah, so I did send out a memo earlier today, and this is a copy of the memo that went to the City Council in preparation for their work session tomorrow evening. And what it does is address what issues or corrections that we have found in the Parks Master Plan to date. So being a 100-page document, we haven't been able to go in and make all of the corrections. We're really looking at the document that you all received and saying, this is what we've heard. So included in that memo are notes from all of you, or half of you, at the last meeting. And then also notes that we received when we went to the Planning Commission and attended their work session last month. And some feedback that we received from Councilor Griffin, as well as a few of the other city councilors and staff. So did everybody receive that memo?
I did.
Yes.
Okay. If not, we can get it somehow posted in chat. I'm not very familiar with that, but Kelsey, I'm sure, could help us figure it out.
That link that I posted earlier, if you click that, it'll be attachment B.
Okay. So I was going to quickly go through these. And we don't have to necessarily hit every bullet, but of course there's some Scrivener's errors that we need to take a look at the map. There were some questions as to the size of the different parks that we came up with, and I believe that was during the Parks Board meeting, that double checking that the acreage is correct, and making some refinements on the graphics throughout that. So that's the first part. The second part I did want to at least touch on in this group and share a little bit more information, especially for our new park board members. The city has had a long-term relationship with the school district, and the city has scheduled their fields and gyms, gosh, I want to say for the last 18 plus years since I've been working here, and I'm going on year 19, so at least that long. And that's always been something that we have done. And we've had a partnership where we have also in the last couple of years or more than that, helped maintain all of those fields and gyms as well, and done all of the scheduling. And then if any of your kids have been involved in sports, we would collect a player fee that would help cover some of those costs and get put back into those facilities and help with some of the cost of scheduling. Well, with the new school, the new high school, and some changes that have been made at the district, they have decided that they want to take over scheduling. So what this means is we, the city, lose access to all of those fields and all of those gyms. So we have now gone down to, we still have the Sherwood Fieldhouse, which is the city's, and Snyder Park. So that has been probably the biggest change that we're going to need to make in the Parks Master Plan. Or one of the biggest changes is that with that relationship changing and us not having the ability to schedule those fields, it is going to limit our ability to contribute to programming within the city. And with that, yeah, it's just going to be a lot of change, and it may impact how we want to look at our priorities moving forward. It may impact if now trying to find land for future fields becomes more important, if we want to make sure that there are some truly community-based opportunities for people. So that's something that we'll need to think about, but that's one of the issues that we definitely need to address. Russell, is there anything you wanted to add to that? I feel like you look like you want to say something.
No, I mean, I think that covers it. You know, I would say that many, if not all, of the council members, we reached out to the school board members, the superintendent, you know, the COO, you know, Jim Rose, and we said, can we come to some kind of an agreement? Can we, you know, what is the issue? But you know what, I think that there's been just a mind shift over there, and they went through a lot of changes over the past, you know, couple of years, as we saw the new high school, all shifting all the schools around. And I think that they just want to be more involved in scheduling of the fields. I mean, I totally understand that. We're hoping as a council that the quality that our wonderful public works department has given to those fields and is known all over the area by the leagues that use those fields. We're hoping that will continue. So we'll have to just wait and see. You know, we support them in their efforts. We will continue to have an open dialogue with them, but that's where we're headed. So adjust. That's what we're doing.
That's right.
Yeah.
So those adjustments will need to be made. And that's the second part of the memo, just making sure that we update all of that. It also played a part in our the city compensation and cost recovery. I will say we were not making money on the deal, but it was figured into our finances. And so we need to adjust that as well. And as I mentioned, it may impact the action plan and the timing of a sports complex, which was currently in the 10 plus year time frame. And we might want to revisit that and think if that's something that we want to consider sooner than later, or at least the planning for it. The Item number 3 that we heard a lot about at Parks Board and also through the Planning Commission was that we needed to have more of an emphasis on trails. And it was brought up that trails were really talked about more in the TSP and the Transportation System Plan. But what we heard from all of you, and I completely agree, as well as the Planning Commission, is that we wanted to make sure that there was more of an emphasis and more of a focus, because that is what we heard from the community, is that trails are very important, that connectivity is very important. We heard about trails more than any other item through the master planning process. So we really want to make sure that that's reflected in the plan. So strategy A now adds something, as well as strategy C. And then we're also going to make sure that we have some sort of a reference to the trail asset management and maintenance program, because that's not really in there right now. And a few other areas that we want to make sure that there's reference to. So this is something that we will see again. So we will want to make sure that we're effectively achieving what it is we set out to do in bringing that connection in there, and that trails is something that really is coming through in the plan as a big priority. Any questions or thoughts on that area? Okay. So item number 4 was really just looking at consistency. And I think what that's referring towards, or they're looking at actions to strategy D to complete a development code audit for consistency. Oh, okay. So I think that this is just referring to some of the issues that came up with the Planning Commission, and they had some concerns for new development. So they were talking specifically about pocket parks. Is that something that we want to allow? And making sure that we're being consistent as we're talking about building that's coming in. In the past, the Parks Board has felt like we don't necessarily want a whole bunch of small pocket parks all over Sherwood. We'd prefer that we look at larger developments and look at larger pieces of land and have those developments contribute to that larger park and have it be more of a neighborhood or destination type park as opposed to a pocket park. And that's the action that they're talking about there. Again, there were some revisions that needed to be made, and this is bullet number 5 as it talks about the maps. We talked about, and this came up at the last Parks Board meeting, updating pages 49 through 61 to add symbols. That would make it a little bit more of a quick look guide as to what the features and elements are in each of the different parks. The other thing that we talked about in item number, it looks like 5 is there twice, so 5B, is the field house replacement. And how the current master plan reads is it keeps talking about a field house replacement, but what they're really talking about is a new field house to replace the current field house, not replacing it exactly where it's at. The land where the field house is right now, for the new people, it's located within our Public Works building. So Public Works and Utility building is at the front of the building, and in the back of the building, we had a large warehouse, I guess that's what it's called, area, machine shop, that we were able to turf and turn into our indoor field house, which has actually done quite well and has gotten to a break-even point, if not actually bringing a little bit of revenue. Now, obviously that was because that was already a city asset. It wasn't a lot to convert that space. We didn't have to put a lot into that project, but it has been one that has been really successful, and there's been a lot of demand. So what we have talked about is building potentially a new field house when that building gets sold. Public Works is looking for a new home, and I think that that's something that they'll be doing in the next 5 years or so. And so when that happens, that land is very valuable and would probably be very attractive for different types of businesses being in the downtown area. And so probably some type of a commercial business would be my guess. So we are looking at relocating, and this would include building a new field house that would really replace the existing one. So We've moved that on from saying replacing to really referencing it as new, because it wouldn't be just a replacement right there. And I think that's more reflective of what we want to do, and also of the dollar amount. And we are taking a look to see if that's accurate, because in the plan it seemed rather high. Ideally, if we were to build something from scratch, we would like to have 2 fields. We think that we could utilize that and program it to have more space. In a perfect world, we would actually have a sports complex that had these indoor fields and then also had outdoor fields, so that we could really be operating well year round and service more sports groups. Any questions on that part? Okay, item number 6 talks about addressing the YMCA and the swimming pool. For the new members, I'm sure that depending on how long you've been in Sherwood, you have heard, and just to clarify, the YMCA property and building is owned by the city of Sherwood, and the YMCA itself is the manager of the property. So that is City of Sherwood property managed by the YMCA as the operator of the facility. And one of the things that we have looked at in the last couple of years is the need to expand the facility, especially the pool, is what we're hearing is people want a larger pool, if not a second pool. So we have done a feasibility study and did some cost analysis. And last year, those numbers came back, and it was a little bit more than we thought there was probably an appetite. There was actually a survey that also went out to say how much is the community wanting or willing to spend at this point if we looked at wanting to update and expand that facility. And at the time, there didn't seem to be much of an appetite to support that. And so we're kind of going back to the drawing board and figuring out what does that mean. We had a 5-year agreement with the YMCA that I believe we probably have 4 years, 3 years left on. I think it was supposed to be a 5-year, but we started it a year or so early. So it might be 3 years, 3 or 4 years left. So really we need to determine what does that mean at the end of that time period. Before it was a 20-year agreement. It's an aging building, and the Y also needs to decide what they want to do. You know, how much money do they want to put into it? What's the future of that facility? So a lot more conversations to come, but we do want to make sure that we're at least addressing that in the master plan. And one of the things that we're really trying to say through this is, if there is a pool that is being built, what makes the most sense is to do it at that location. The community, a community of this size cannot necessarily support another pool. So if we get behind building another pool, it would be at that location and thought of as an expansion of that facility. Let's see here. And the last one was just a few other notes making to the executive summary. Earlier, when I was speaking with the new members, I told them that we have really found a lot of value in our current executive summary. So we just had a few notes in there, mainly what has already been talked about, to make sure that we're updating the executive summary and that it says, useful and a powerful tool as possible for all of you to utilize moving forward. There was also a lot of talk about making sure that we're talking more about Sherwood West and how that's going to fit into the plan. I know that some of the city councilors shared that we needed to have more information in there about Sherwood West. So there's a bullet there at the end about that. So now I would love to see if there's any items either from the last meeting or that you have thought about since we met last, or that you didn't hear or see in this memo. And of course, this isn't every little thing. We have a lot more notes, but we were just kind of trying to summarize them. So is there anything that you think should be added? Does anybody see any holes?
I had a couple of small comments.
Yeah.
The pictures on page 49 to 60 something of each park, they're not pictures of the park. I thought that was odd.
I'm gonna take a look.
The kids were actually very excited about Murdoch Park when we saw the picture.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're saying, I think what they were doing is putting kind of inspirational pictures in there for what could be done to improve the area. But what I'm hearing you say is maybe also, if you're referring to this is Cannery Square, have a picture, have the appropriate pictures. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I was thinking, just in case someone looks at it and goes, well, that's Cannery. Like, being new to Sherwood, we looked through these pictures and went, oh, let's go check out this park and check out that park. And the family and I went around all of them and we're like, this is the park. So,
yes. Yeah, and I think the intention was to inspire how that space could be used differently and what additions, but I think that we should either state that clearly or include the glossary of what it is current and future or something.
Okay. And then in the summary, I think in the executive summary, it says a pump track.
Yeah.
It kind of mentions a bunch of different like a bike skills course or a bike park. I didn't know if but in the summary, if you say a pump track, is that kind of committing to that?
That's a good question. We'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
So on a side note, just to tell all of you, and Kelsey is listening, and I think she's driven by it and mentioned it to me before, but I drove over to Bend on Saturday and went the Mount Hood Way because Highway 22 is closed and saw the Redmond pump track. We stopped, took some pictures. My son just about went bananas. He was so upset that he didn't have his bike.
Cool.
It is so cool. But I do know that there's a lot of different formats out there, but that is a cool park. It's awesome. And even better, they had some cement barricades. I guess that's what they're called. Large things to control the crowds and parking. And they were having an art contest. So they were having a student art contest to come in and paint those. And so they had just juried all of these really cool student art ideas. And I think they had 8 of them with 2 sides each that were being painted by kids who came up with either different themes, and some of them were just about world and peace and health, and some of them were actually mimicking parts of the pump track. And yeah, it was really cool. I took lots of pictures. But yes, I do know that there's a lot of different options for depending on what kind of skill you're looking for and what features you want.
Hey, Kristen. I don't know if you mentioned this already, but are we going to get another like revised version of the plan before it's final or not?
So I believe that we will get another revised version. The challenge became, obviously it's a large document. It's not something that we were able to email to you because it was so large. So it's just printing them out. So as long as we can convince Kelsey to get it all printed out again, I'd love to get you guys a final copy that has all of these changes in there before it gets approved, and so you can make your recommendation to council and planning commission.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So any other thoughts at this point? No.
This is like a final plan. This is like just a guiding principles for the next 10 years, right?
Yeah, so guiding principles really for the next 10 years. It is what we will do to reevaluate our park SDCs, our system development charges, as we look at new businesses and homes coming into Sherwood and how we calculate what those charges are. So one of the things that's important is that we're really capturing, I don't want to say anything, but just about, what's the big scope that we think we could do. It's not, and this is what's hard sometimes, it doesn't mean we're necessarily going to be able to do all of it. Priorities are going to change and switch, and depending on how money comes in and what happens, some of them may not get done, but we at least want to capture all of those ideas so we can try to plan for it. And then what we typically do as a Parks Board is then every year sit down in January and talk about our priorities for the next year and really for the next 5 years. What is it that we really want to be focusing on and working on? And then depending again on funding and opportunities, if we end up receiving a grant or something like that, something might move up higher on the priority list and we might need to take advantage of that. But yeah, that answers it.
Yeah, Kristen, like you said last meeting, is that we I think it's even more important this year than it has been in the past with this plan coming together, is that the board really does need to come together in January or whatever it is and come up with our priority list, right?
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of ideas in this plan, most of which probably won't happen in the short term. So we need to figure out what's most important to the board to move forward to the city council.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And that's where, if we're going to spend, I mean, we absolutely want the document to be correct. But again, I would just say that executive summary, that's something we want to make sure is working for us, because that's what's going to really help us, I think, as well as we look at planning for the next year, is do we have everything we need on there?
Right.
And
because we've had the parks that we've made, or the items that we've produced in the last few years, have been things that were on the drawing board from several years before. The Cedar Creek Trail, the skate park, right? So now, as I understand it, there's the slate is pretty blank. So we can now formulate what those priorities are going to be for the next 5 to 10 years, so that to help which of those things we're going to try to push to the top of the list.
Right. And that'll be a balance between what do we want to push, and again, the finances, taking a look at where we are with our SDCs and how much money we have in there. And that's where we look at kind of those quick wins, and is it worth it to do some of the quick wins or things that we can accomplish now, and balancing that out and making sure that we're also saving enough money to be able to do those larger projects.
Right.
Yeah.
So so it's a good time to be joining the board, because there's not a lot of sort of legacy projects out there that I understand, and this is like a lot of new ideas. So this board, which of those are the priorities?
Right. Yep. Okay, so if you think of anything else afterwards, please feel free to email me. Like I said, this is going to be something that the city council is going to take a look at during their work session tomorrow night. So you can also, Russell is here, of course, this evening. So if there's anything that you want to share with him to make sure to emphasize, I'm sure he'd be happy to do that as well. But that will be, and that is a meeting that you are able to watch on YouTube if you want to as well, the work session. So you could go in there and watch if you want to see the presentation again and do all of that. Those are all on YouTube, right, Russell? Yeah, okay, thank you. All of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute. But yeah, I guess we get separate invites for those, and those are all broadcast as well. Okay, so I think that's it, John, on that part, unless there's any other comments. If you're muted now, John, sorry.
How's that? Oh, I apologize. Sorry. All right. So yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to the tree removal request, and so I myself had an opportunity to take a look at the trees here in Sherwood. That's right along the trail that we have. So it'd be behind some of the homes here. So I did notice those trees, and yeah, they definitely were encroaching. I couldn't remember everything that the arborist had indicated, but yeah, they seemed like a little bit of a nuisance where they were in at this time. I'm not sure if anybody else had the opportunity to see those or the one at Snyder Park. No.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess no feedback, no comments about why we should not approve the having them removed.
John, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
not necessarily read all of it, but just comment on what they are really quick, so that if somebody, since we don't have these posted online, but just to reiterate, there's a tree at Snyder Park, an English walnut tree that the arborist recommends removing due to the location within the park, and staff will have a larger mature tree planted as a replacement. The replacement will likely be a big leaf maple is what they're looking at for the Stella Olson Park. And then the other trees were on Stellar, and it's 3 alder trees that the arborist is recommending be removed, and they will determine the best replacement species and plant trees this coming fall. So both of those did include arborist reports and photos. And then on the document that was emailed or is posted in the chat, you can see, I guess, the photos just of the Stellar one, not of Snyder Park, but there is also a map indicating the location. So my guess is you must have gone there by the Stellar ones, John.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, so I just wanted to read those so that everybody knew which ones we were talking about.
Okay. So if there's no other comments or reason why yays or nays on this, we'll go ahead and approve the request for removal of both trees, or both Snyder Park and the trees on Stellar on the pathway there. Should anybody want to go ahead?
John, we just need a motion and then a second, and then we can vote on it.
Okay, so a motion?
I'll do the motion to approve the arborist recommendation to remove the trees.
Anyone to second that?
I'll go ahead and second that.
All right, the motion has been approved. So we'll go ahead and
Accept the vote.
all right. Should we? Let's see. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Any
All right.
opposed?
That's right. Any opposed?
And I'm sorry, I'm learning new voices. Manny, did you second?
He did.
I did.
Yes.
Perfect, thank you.
Great. Okay. So we're getting through this pretty quickly. So now we have Council Griffin here with us. So we'll welcome him into our meeting, and we'll give you the counter here. Go ahead.
Or the microphone. I'll take
the microphone. Yeah.
So congratulations to all the new members. It was a pleasure. This is our second meeting because we met during the interviews, and I'm happy that you've all decided to participate. And the Parks Board, I think, is always a lot of fun, because one thing people love about Sherwood, it's the parks and the trail system and getting outdoors and recreating with the dog or the kid or whomever. And however, and it's very important that the Parks Board, continues to, provide direction to the city as to, well, what are we going to do next? That's how we got a skate park. That's how we're getting the Cedar Creek Trail, finished. So congratulations and thank you for all for volunteering. So let me see. Big thing right now is, election in less than 30 days. Tomorrow night we have only one meeting. Let's see, we have 2 meetings in October. We do not have a meeting on November 3rd. Funny thing, we're not going to meet that night. So tomorrow night, as Kristen mentioned, we have our work session on the draft, the current draft of Parks Master Plan, which will go through council. Lauren Schmidt will be coming live on virtual, right, joining us and out there for the work session. And Kristen, did you say that the suggested changes have been made, or there's just a list?
This is a list of all of the changes. And then what we'll need to do is figure out if we're going to reprint just those pages. But right now we're creating a list, knowing that council may have more to add. But instead of just going to council and hearing from scratch, we wanted to make sure council knew what has already been discussed and what's already been recommended as changes from the Parks Board and the Planning Commission.
Okay. All right. Great.
And that will be at 6:15 if anybody wants to tune in.
Right. At what time? At
6:15 tomorrow.
6:15. All right. Yep. I thought it was 6, but I guess it's only 6:15. So, so we have that. We have 3 public hearings tomorrow night. We're annexing more light industrial land over in the Tonquin area. That's the first of probably 2 or 3 parcels that will be coming into the city. All the grading that you see off of 124th on the east side, that's PGE. That's Tualatin side of the road, and they're building a big, super regional technical center of some sort with lots of PGE employees. And then on the other side, Trammell Crow is building a big, like 500,000 square feet of light industrial space, a warehouse part. So that's coming. That's what all the grading is right now. Eventually, that will also, all that land will be annexed into the city. So that will be, and I was noticing this, and I'll mention this tomorrow night, at which point we're going to call up the city of Tualatin and tell them to move their welcome to Tualatin sign a little further down the road. That's what I'm thinking. So, because it will be in the city of Sherwood. They can move it across to the other side of the intersection. That's what I think. And they're currently, 124th is closed right now because of all the right-of-way improvements that are being done first by PGE, and then I'm not sure when Trammell Crow is going to do all of theirs, but that pipe is already in the ground on 124th. It's just road improvement on both sides, but that will be coming back to us. That shortcut to Costco will be coming back pretty soon. We also have, let's see, second reading for the ordinance to update municipal code, which clarifies and memorializes new policy in regards to the expectations of the Sherwood Police Department and the Sherwood Police Chief, and the role that Joe Galler, City Manager, plays in the overview and oversight of all of that. That's also online. You can look at that. And then the city is updating its fee schedule, a couple of changes, and then we're fixing an oversight that happened at one of our centers. But so it's a pretty normal, traditional business sort of a meeting. So really, honestly, the big thing right now is the vote on November 3rd. So all I would say is vote. When I have lunch sometimes with people and they say, well, sometimes they say, I'm not going to vote. No, that you just need to, who was it that said voting is not like, it's not like, going somewhere specific. Sometimes voting is you get on the bus, and you get on the bus that's generally headed in the direction. And one thing that I found, and that's one of the reasons I got involved, I've been here 23 years and spent 8 years on the Planning Commission and like 2.5 now on council. I have 2 years to go. I'm not driving the bus, but I can get on the bus and I can have a voice, and I can be part of the collection of people that helps to make a change. I'm not out to change anything. I am out to help maintain the people's voice in, well, what do we want to see happen in the city of Sherwood? Where do we want to see growth or no growth, or development or no development? So, I think it's important that we volunteer. It's extremely important that we vote and we participate in that democratic process. So that's my little soapbox moment. That's it, I think. Anybody have any questions? This is, if you want to make any suggestions about the parks master plan, you can email Kristen tomorrow. She'll be there. You can email me. I'll be there. You can't make public comment any longer because we're after the 24-hour deadline to do that. But well, that's it's a work session anyway. So
right.
You can't make public comment. But if you would absolutely like something done or said, you can email me or Kristen, and we're happy to take that information to the meeting tomorrow night. So again, welcome everybody, and I look forward to all kinds of cool stuff happening in the near future. So that's it.
Great. All right. Thank you, Russell. I appreciate that. Thank you for being with us tonight. So let's move on to any other other comments or any other thing that anyone wants to share.
I did have the one update from the YMCA that I would like to share. I heard from Ryan today, and he said that the big news at the YMCA is that they are now open at 6 a.m. and they started that on October 1st. And the other big news being that the pool is open. So, of course, they're doing it with all of the guidelines and keeping in compliance, but they are open. And he says that the first couple weeks has gone really well. And he says that they're actually using a reservation system to help manage the space. So he didn't expand on that, but I would think you need to make a reservation ahead of time, no drop-in swim type of thing. They have to control the numbers that are going into the pool, but at least they're able to have that open again. And that's all I have from the Y.
Great. Thank you, Kristen. All right. So I guess we've gone through all the agenda here. We're leading towards the closure of our meeting. Any other comments? Anything anybody would like to share? Nope. All right. So we did pretty well with this meeting. We want to welcome our new board members, and we look forward to having you back in November. So anyways, if that's what we've got here, we'll go ahead and close out the meeting and call it adjourned.
Right. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you, everybody. All right. See you around. Bye.